Oh, Jake, you know what I've realized?
That usually means trouble.
No, listen, I'm serious this time.
That does not make me trust you more.
Rude. But fine, tell me this. Why does tea taste better when someone else makes it?
Oh, because your own tea comes with responsibility. Other people's tea comes with comfort.
Exactly. My own tea feels like a task. Someone else's tea feels like healing.
That may be one of the wisest things you've said this week.
Thank you. I'm growing.
Slowly, but yes.
I knew you were going to ruin the moment.
Well, it's one of my gifts.
But you know what's funny? That tiny feeling actually reminded me of something my grandfather used to say.
Oh? Okay, now I'm listening properly.
He used to say, "A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor."
That sounds wise and a bit grand.
That is exactly what I used to think. Back then, I was like, okay, I'm not even on a boat. Why are we talking like this?
Fair. Very fair.
But now, I get it. Easy days do not teach you much. The difficult ones do. The confusing ones do. The painful ones do.
Yeah, so that's the strange part of growing up. Old advice sounds ordinary or even a little dramatic when you're young, and then life quietly proves it right.
Exactly, and I think that's why today's conversation feels so special to us.
Yes, because some of those old lines stay with you for years, and one day they suddenly stop sounding old. They start sounding true.
So, English learners, welcome back to the English Leap podcast, your cozy little place to learn easy English through real everyday conversations. I'm Anna.
And I'm Jake.
And today we're talking about old advice, the little things our elders used to say, the lessons they tried to teach us, and those quiet life moments that made us realize, wow, they were right.
Yes, we're talking about the advice that sounded simple back then, the lines we did not fully understand, and the real-life experiences that made those words land very differently later.
Sometimes painfully differently.
Very true. Life really has a talent for bringing back an old sentence at exactly the right moment.
Or the wrong moment.
Also true.
And honestly, we have a feeling this episode might make many of you feel a little nostalgic.
In a beautiful way. The kind that brings back a voice, a room, a habit, a simple sentence, maybe even someone you still remember very clearly.
This is a B2 level episode, so you'll hear richer, natural English throughout the conversation, but don't worry if you don't catch every single word. Just relax, enjoy the feeling of the conversation, and stay with us.
And today's episode will also have a lovely little word tour inside it.
Yes, we've naturally woven useful B2 words, phrases, and a few old sayings into the conversation. So while we talk about life, you'll also be picking up real English that you can actually use.
So listen out for those expressions because some of them are beautiful, some are practical, and some really do say a lot with just a few words.
And before we get into it, if you enjoy learning English with warm, real conversations like this, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and come back and sit with us again.
And we'd really love to hear from you too.
Yes, tell us in the comments, what is one piece of advice an elder gave you that you did not understand back then, but now feels completely true?
I already know those comments are going to be good.
Same. Some of them might even hurt a little.
In the wisest way possible.
So, Jake, what's one old piece of advice you heard when you were younger, almost ignored completely,
and now hear in your head like background music every time life gets messy?
Yes, exactly that.
Oh, I have a few, and honestly, the older I get, the less I enjoy how right they were.
That sounds like the beginning of a very personal complaint.
It is. A peaceful complaint, but still a complaint.
Go on then, give me one.
My father used to say, actions speak louder than words.
Ah, that one ages very well.
Unfortunately, yes. And the annoying thing is, I always liked words. Good words, warm words, confident words. I used to trust people who spoke beautifully.
A lot of us did.
I remember this one person from an old job. He had the perfect way of talking. Calm voice, big promises. Always saying things like, don't worry, I'm with you, or we'll handle it together. And honestly, I believed him completely.
Because he sounded dependable.
Exactly. Then one week, a project started falling apart. Not dramatically, just slowly in that quiet, stressful way. Deadlines slipping, tension rising, people getting a little colder every day. And that was when I noticed something. His words stayed lovely, but his actions disappeared.
Oof.
He still spoke nicely, still made promises, still sounded supportive, but when it came to staying late, helping properly, or sharing responsibility, he was suddenly nowhere.
That kind of thing really hits home.
Yes, and when something hits home, it feels deeply personal. Not just true in general, but true inside your own life.
It lands in your chest, not just in your head.
That's exactly it. I went home that evening and I could almost hear my father's voice. Not loud, not dramatic, just there. Actions speak louder than words.
Life has a way of repeating our elders in the surround sound.
It really does. And the worst part is, I was very stubborn about it at first.
Stubborn meaning you refuse to change your mind even when the signs are standing right in front of you.
That was me. I kept defending him in my head. No, he means well. No, he's just busy. No, I'm probably being unfair.
Ah, yes, the little speeches we give ourselves when reality is trying to be helpful.
Exactly. And then, of course, I had to learn the hard way.
To learn the hard way means life teaches you through disappointment, mistakes, or pain, instead of easy advice.
Yes, not my favorite teacher, but a very effective one.
It really is.
After that, I started paying more attention to what people do when things become inconvenient. That is where character becomes visible.
Yes, not in the easy moments, in the uncomfortable ones.
Exactly.
You know, that reminds me of when my mother used to say all the time, "A stitch in time saves 9."
Mothers love that one.
They really do. She used it for everything. Homework, laundry, sleep, money, moods, broken zips, family tension. Honestly, it was less a proverb and more a full operating system.
Very efficient women, mothers.
Extremely. And I used to roll my eyes every time she said it. Not because I disagreed, but because I thought, can one sentence really apply to this many things? Apparently, yes.
What made it real for you?
Honestly, health. Not in a frightening way, just in a very real way. I remember someone in my family had a small problem at first. Nothing huge. Just the kind of thing that felt easy to ignore. There was some pain, some discomfort, and the doctor said, take the medicine, rest properly, and deal with it now.
And of course, it was delayed.
Of course, because that's what people do when life is busy. I'll deal with it next week. It's probably nothing. Let me just get through this first.
Ah, yes. Famous last words.
Exactly. And the frustrating part was, at the beginning, it was still small. The kind of problem that might have been solved with something simple, like medicine and a bit of care. But because it was delayed and delayed again, it became bigger, more painful, more complicated. And later, it needed much more than that.
That is such a clear example of the proverb.
Yes, and that was the moment it really landed for me. Because a stitch in time saves 9 is not just about sewing or fixing tiny mistakes, it's about life. Sometimes one small step taken early can save you from something much heavier later.
Almost like life saying, please don't wait until the small problem grows teeth.
Exactly. And I think that's why the proverb feels reassuring to me now.
Reassuring means it makes you feel calmer, steadier, a little safer.
Yes, because it reminds me that early care matters, whether it's your health, your stress, your relationships, or even one small task you keep avoiding. Giving attention to something early is often an act of kindness to your future self.
That is beautifully said. Small care now can save a lot of pain later. Most tension is not evil at the beginning, it just grows quietly in silence.
Wow, Jake. That was suspiciously wise. Have you been practicing these lines in private?
Anna, I like to keep a few wise lines ready in case life suddenly gives me a microphone. But really, hearing all this takes me straight back to my uncle. He used to say another one all the time. What goes around comes around.
Ah, yes. That one can sound like a warning.
Yes, but the way he said it was never threatening, more like, life remembers. Not in some magical way, just quietly. The way people remember kindness, the way care returns, the way disrespect leaves a stain.
I like that. Life remembers.
The moment that made it real for me was actually very ordinary. I had just moved into a new apartment, and for the first few weeks I was exhausted all the time. Boxes everywhere, no routine, no proper meals, and that strange feeling of living in a place that still doesn't feel like yours.
Ah, yes, that unsettled phase.
Exactly. One evening I came home late, carrying too many bags, half thinking about work, half thinking about dinner, and I realized I had left my wallet at the office.
Of course you had.
Naturally. So there I was, tired, hungry, and holding groceries I could not pay for. And the man at the little shop near my building looked at me, smiled, and said, "It's fine. Bring it tomorrow."
Oh, that's lovely.
It really was. It was such a small thing, but in that moment it felt huge. He did not know me properly. I was just the quiet man from the building who always looked slightly tired.
Very strong image, Jake.
Chuckling. Accurate image, unfortunately. But that moment stayed with me. Not because of the money, it was the trust. In such a simple moment. Then the few months later, I saw him outside the same shop trying to move a heavy delivery box on his own. It was one of those awkward, too heavy, impossible to carry boxes.
The kind that suddenly becomes everyone's business.
Exactly. So I put my things down and helped him carry it inside. It took maybe 2 minutes, nothing special, but he looked at me and said, "See? It comes back."
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes, and that was the moment the proverb really settled in me. What goes around, comes around. Not like punishment, not like luck. Just the simple truth that kindness often finds its way back.
That gives the proverb a very different feel.
It really does. And honestly, it gave me perspective.
Perspective is the way you start seeing life more clearly, from a wider angle.
Yes, because after that, I stopped thinking of kindness as something small. I started seeing it as something that moves. One person makes life a little easier for another, and then that person carries that same softness somewhere else.
That is lovely.
It really stayed with me.
Oh, yes, and that reminds me of another one I've carried with me for years. All that glitters is not gold.
Ooh, that one has survived every century for a reason.
It truly has. And I think it fits modern life so well, too. Because now we have even more glitter, more images, more polished lives, more shiny versions of people.
More beautifully edited disappointment.
That should be on a mug.
I would buy it.
For me, that proverb became real through a job, actually. Years ago, I was offered something that looked perfect from the outside. Nice title, lovely office, impressive company name, all the things that make other people widen their eyes and say, "Wow." And I won't lie, I was drawn to the shine of it.
But the shine was not the truth.
Not even close. The place looked polished, but the atmosphere felt cold. People smiled, but not warmly. The title sounded important, but the work itself left me drained in a very quiet way. I remember coming home each day feeling smaller, not stronger.
That is such a sad kind of mismatch.
It was. And honestly, that season was humbling.
Humbling means life lowers your pride a little and reminds you that appearance and reality are often very different.
Yes, I had to admit that I had been impressed by the surface. I was chasing what looked good, not what felt healthy. And after a while, that old proverb started to resonate with me in a much deeper way.
When something resonates with you, it feels deeply true or meaningful inside you. It stays with you.
Exactly. It stayed. And now I think about that proverb not just when I see flashy things, but when I meet charming people, glossy opportunities, even perfect-looking lives online. Sometimes the shine is real. Sometimes it's only light on the surface.
That is beautifully said.
Thank you. I'll take that and treasure it for at least 5 minutes.
Please do. But out of all these old sayings, there's one that gets me most these days. Not in a loud way, in that quiet, sneaky way that catches you when you're not prepared. Time and tide wait for no man.
Oh, yes. That one always carries a little ache, doesn't it?
It really does. When I was younger, I heard it like a warning adults gave you when they thought you were wasting time. Stop being lazy, stop delaying, do something useful. But now it feels bigger than that. Softer, too, and somehow sadder.
Oh, in what way?
In the family way, in the growing up way, in the I truly thought there would be more time way. That's where it hits me now. I think of my grandfather a lot when I hear it. He was never the type to sit you down and give a grand speech. He was quieter than that. But every now and then he'd say something small, almost in passing, like, "Come by when you can. Time moves quickly."
And back then, that probably just sounded like one more sentence.
Exactly. Just one more sentence floating around the room. And of course, I was young, busy, distracted, always rushing towards something, always thinking the real important life was somewhere ahead of me.
We all think there will be another afternoon, another visit, another ordinary day that feels like it will always be there.
Yes, and then one day you realize the afternoons changed, the people changed, the house changed, even your own voice changed, and suddenly a sentence that once sounded so simple starts feeling enormous. Honestly, this whole part of the conversation makes me feel very nostalgic.
Nostalgic is that warm, emotional feeling you get when the past comes back to you, not just as a memory, but almost like a whole atmosphere returning.
Yes, exactly. That's the perfect word for it. Because when I look back on those years now, I don't only remember what was said, I remember the whole feeling of it. The room, the tea, the slow fan turning above us, the sound of plates from the kitchen, the way evening light sat on everything so gently. And the strange thing is, nobody in those moments knew they were living inside a memory that would one day feel precious.
And to look back on something means to think about it again from where you are now, with older eyes and a different heart.
Yes, that's exactly it. And that proverb feels so true now because time really does move whether we are ready or not. People grow older while we're making plans. Seasons change while we're postponing conversations. Children become adults while someone is still saying, "We should all sit together one day."
Ooh, that one really sits with you.
It really does, in a quiet way, the kind that stays.
You know what I love, though? Not all of their wisdom feels sad when it comes back. Some of it feels strong, almost steady, like a hand on your back when you need it most.
Ah, yes, I know exactly what you mean.
My grandmother used to say, "Where there is a will, there is a way." And what gets me now is not the sentence itself, it's her, because she lived it so fully, quietly, naturally, without turning it into a speech.
Tell me.
She didn't have an easy life. Not much comfort, not much rest, not much extra of anything, really. And yet somehow she always found a way. A way to keep the house warm, a way to make food stretch, a way to help someone else even when she herself was tired. A way to carry on without making a whole performance out of her strength.
That kind of strength feels different, doesn't it?
It really does. It doesn't ask for attention. It doesn't try to impress you. It just holds life together quietly.
That is so beautiful.
It is. And I think that's why the proverb feels different to me now. It doesn't sound loud or motivational. It sounds faithful. It sounds like someone deciding, very quietly, life is hard, yes, but I'm still going to keep going.
That is such a powerful kind of hope.
Yes, a calm kind, a kitchen kind, a real life kind.
Kitchen kind is somehow the perfect description.
You know what I mean.
I do. And honestly, I think we grow into those old sayings.
To grow into something means it starts fitting you more naturally over time, as you change and become ready for it.
Yes, that's it. The words stay the same, but we become people who can finally hold them properly. At 20, they sit near you. At 30, 40, 50, they sit inside you.
That may be the loveliest part of all this, actually. Our elders were not always giving us polished speeches or perfect life lessons. Sometimes they were just leaving little tools behind, little protections, little truths. And years later, when life becomes more complicated, we finally reach for them.
Yes, we don't always receive wisdom when it is spoken. Sometimes we receive it much later when life finally gives the sentence a shape we can recognize.
Wow, Jake, that was very poetic.
I'm trying to earn my tea.
Fair enough. Keep going. The tea is still yours for now.
Thank you, generous of you. But truly, that's what this all feels like to me now. Not old people repeating themselves because they had nothing else to say. More like people who had already walked through storms, heartbreak, mistakes, and long, ordinary years, quietly leaving signs behind for us.
And the signs looked so simple. That was the clever part.
Yes, simple enough to remember, deep enough to come back years later and mean something completely new.
Which is probably why those lines still live in our heads like background music.
Even when we pretend not to hear them.
Especially then.
Especially then.
All right, then.
Since today's conversation was full of beautiful old sayings, family memories, and quiet life lessons, let's slow down for a moment and take a little word tour through some of the words and phrases we used today.
Yes, these are the words that gave this episode its feeling. Some are warm, some are thoughtful, and some carry a lot of truth.
So let's start with our first word from today's conversation, nostalgic.
If you feel nostalgic, you feel warm and emotional about the past. It is not just remembering something. It is feeling the mood, the place, and the heart of that memory again.
For example, this conversation made me feel nostalgic for old evenings at my grandparents' house.
Or, that old proverb made her strangely nostalgic for her childhood.
Repeat, nostalgic.
Nostalgic. Next, a lovely word we used, reassuring.
If something is reassuring, it makes you feel calmer, safer, or less worried. It gives you a quiet sense of comfort.
For example, hearing my mother's old advice felt reassuring in that stressful moment.
Or, his calm voice was very reassuring when everything felt uncertain. Repeat, reassuring.
Reassuring. Now, let's look at another beautiful word, humbling.
If something is humbling, it reminds you that life is bigger than your pride, your plans, or your ego. It brings you down to earth in a useful way.
For example, that experience was humbling because it showed me how little I really understood at the time.
Or it was humbling to realize that my grandmother had been right all along. Repeat, humbling.
Humbling. Next, a very important one, perspective.
Perspective is the way you see and understand something. When you gain perspective, you begin to see life more clearly, often from a wider and wiser angle.
For example, age gave him a new perspective on the advice he used to ignore.
Or that experience changed my perspective on what really matters. Repeat, perspective.
Perspective. Now, let's come to a very relatable word, stubborn.
If someone is stubborn, they do not change their mind easily. They keep holding on, even when someone is trying to help them see things differently.
For example, I was too stubborn to listen when my elders were trying to guide me.
Or, he is kind, but very stubborn when he thinks he is right. Repeat, stubborn.
Stubborn. Next is a beautiful verb, resonate.
If something resonates with you, it feels deeply true or meaningful to you. It stays in your mind and heart.
For example, that old proverb resonates with me much more now than it did when I was younger.
Or, her words resonated with me because I had lived through something similar. Repeat, resonate.
Resonate. Now, let's move to our first idiom, learn the hard way.
If you learn something the hard way, you learn it through pain, mistakes, disappointment, or direct experience instead of easy advice.
For example, I learned the hard way that actions really do matter more than promises.
Or, he learned the hard way that delaying small problems often makes them bigger. Repeat, learn the hard way.
Learn the hard way. And here's another useful idiom, hit home.
If something hits home, it feels very personal and very true. It touches you deeply because it connects with your own life.
For example, that old line about time really hit home when I thought about my grandfather.
Or, her words hit home because I had been feeling the same thing. Repeat, hit home.
Hit home. Now let's look at a phrasal verb. Look back on.
To look back on something means to think about a time in your past from where you are now. Usually, you understand it differently with more age and experience.
For example, when I look back on those years, I understand my elders much better.
Or, she looks back on her childhood with gratitude now. Repeat, look back on.
Look back on. And our final phrase from today's conversation is another phrasal verb, grow into.
To grow into something means to slowly become ready for it over time. It may feel strange at first, but later it begins to fit you more naturally.
For example, we often grow into our elders' wisdom much later in life.
Or, at first, the advice felt distant, but with time I grew into its meaning. Repeat, grow into.
Grow into. And those were today's Word Tour words and phrases.
Beautiful words for a beautiful topic, honestly.
Yes. And what I love about these words is that they are not just useful for English. They help you talk about memory, family, growing up, and the quiet things life teaches us.
So don't try to memorize all of them at once. Just choose 2 or 3 that really stayed with you and try using them in your own life this week.
And if you want, tell us in the comments which word or phrase from today's Word Tour resonated with you the most.
Yes, we'd really love to hear from you.
And we hope this episode brought back a few memories for you too.
Yes, the kind that stay with you quietly even after the conversation ends. So, take care of your English.
And take care of your heart. This is Anna.
And this is Jake.
And you've been listening to the English Leap podcast. Bye!